Hey guys! We are back with more of the Unknown Show.
Some great content.
Yes. So the last 3 songs that we played were Enlighten Me by Group Love. They're pretty well known. Weight of Fear and Doubt by Lake Como. Okay. I'm so sorry. And Neverland, but with no vowels, by the Ravenettes. And I just am in love with all things Peter Pan, so I added that in. And like the lyrics, if you actually listen to them, kind of like have to do with Peter Pan, but like not really. But it's kind of cool. So yeah.
Have you heard Somewhere in Neverland by All Time Low?
I don't know.
You would like that song if you
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's really, really good.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, check that out. One of my favorite songs of all time.
Oh my gosh.
Love All Time Low. Unfortunately, they're not an indie band. Though they did just release new music and a new music video, so like, check
them out. I definitely don't listen to them as much as you might expect. But speaking of things that people love,
so I know you all have seen the commercials on the CW, and even outside the CW, for Riverdale. And a lot of people are concerned about Riverdale because Archie Comics are so beloved, and there's been so many of them, and some of the characters didn't really seem like they matched up to the comics very well, and the trailers make it seem a lot darker than the actual comics themselves. So a lot of people were worried it was going to ruin the kind of Archie aesthetic, if you will. And I was one of those people. I was one of those critics, and a few shows ago, I think maybe 2, I mentioned how the first show was okay, but it wasn't great. I was wrong, guys. I will straight up admit it. I was completely wrong. I judged it too soon. The show is so good. I was dying. Okay?
Oh my gosh. Now questions, as someone who has not read the Archie comics or seen the show, but I'm curious about the show because of all the hype it's been getting.
Yeah.
One, like, does it follow the comics pretty closely or no?
Well, the thing with the comics is most of them were like individual kind of little graphic novels that you would get in a grocery store, so none of the stories were really connected. It was just kind of Archie, the everyday guy, the all-American guy who's into sports and just the quintessential American child who's likes girls and everything. And there was an argument between Betty and Veronica, who are best friends, and they're competing for Archie's love, and it was discontinued in the original formatting, I think in 2010, so quite a while ago, and then they came out with like an actual full-size graphic novel that what if Archie ended up with Veronica, and what if Archie ended up with Betty, and like the 2 different sides of it, and went into detail on all the characters, and they kind of branched off. There was comics about just Betty and Veronica, there was some about Jughead, Josie and the Pussycats. All of them had like their original standbys that way. So the show kind of takes a more mature look at it, because the comics are kind of dated in a way, but the show kind of adds a thriller aspect to it, which a lot of people, again, were very, very worried about because the comics are supposed to be comedic and everyone knows the characters so well and they're already characterized, so it's really hard to play them in a different way and show them in a different light because people know them so well. So a lot of people were concerned, but the way they do it is very, very good. They keep the characters kind of true to how they aesthetically are in the books. Like, their personalities are aesthetically the same, but the show delves a little deeper into it and shows kind of their backstories and what, like, the darker sides that the comics don't show. And basically what the show does is, in order to make it more mature, it starts off with the disappearance and death of Cheryl Blossom's twin, who is a big character in the books, in the comics. So it's all about, like, who did it? Is Riverdale the town that it seems? It's very complicated and complex, and it kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. And at first, it was kind of a little cliche in the first episode. I wasn't a huge fan, just because there wasn't much context for it at first, and they kind of had the commentary over it that not many shows have. It's kind of like a series of unfortunate events type thing. And it's Jughead's voice, who's played by Cole Sprouse, which is an interesting choice, because in the comics Jughead doesn't play as big a role. Okay. But it kind of attaches you to the characters in a way, and by the fourth episode, I literally was sitting in my bed, and I watched the end of the fourth episode, and I almost fell off. Oh my god. It was so shocking, and like, I can't wait for the next episode to come out tomorrow, because it's so gripping, and you just want to see what happens next. It's like How to Get Away with Murder, almost.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it is very, like, mystery.
Yeah, it's much more mystery-based, but in a way that doesn't it's not cliche. It's not like, you can guess who it is right away. It's not like a whodunit type thing. Like, you are trying to figure out who killed Jason Blossom, obviously, but it's done so eloquently that you kind of almost forget about that, because you're wrapped up in what the other characters are doing, and you forget that they may have motives themselves. So it's very good. I would definitely recommend it.
And only 4 episodes so far to catch up.
Yeah, so far. Yeah, I mean, jump on CW.com, watch those episodes. Cole Sprouse is really, really good.
Besides him, are there any other big names in it?
There's not huge names. KJ Apa plays Archie Andrews, the main character. Then Lily Reinhart plays Betty Cooper. Camila Mendez plays Veronica Lodge, which some people may be familiar with. She did, I believe it was Wayward Pines or Twin Peaks or one of those shows. And then Cole Sprouse as Jughead Jones, Marisol Nichols as Hermione Lodge, which is an interesting name. I know some people will be interested in. Madeline Petch as Cheryl Blossom, Madchen Amick as a parent, Alice Cooper, Luke Perry as Fred Andrews, and my personal favorite, my absolute favorite is Casey Cott as Kevin Keller, who you actually don't see much of in the comics, but he plays a very large supporting role in the show, and he kind of recreates the character in a way that's super interesting. And Casey Cott is, of course, a great actor. This is kind of his biggest title role right now, but his brother Corey Cott is on Broadway. He was in Newsies. He's on American Bandstand right now. So, I mean, there's so much talent in that family. He's a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, definitely. That's good, though, that Riverdale has changed your opinion and you stuck to it.
Yeah, I mean, just stick with it. I mean, the first show may throw you off a little bit, but after the first episode, it gets really, really good. You'll get very attached, and quickly assimilate to the characters, and they're all very relatable. They're flawed, but they're also brilliantly written. It's a great overall show, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
That's great, so check that out. Speaking of things to check out and not leave in the middle of, we're going to bring you into our next song segment.